Welcome back. This is the day 7 vlog. So you may know that I have been on a little bit of a hiatus from my usual runs. And that was due to a back injury, which is documented in my vlogs and on my TikTok. Today I went back out on the road because I felt like my mood needed a boost. I did a handful of miles of running and I felt a boost in my mood. And that was probably due to several things. First of all, yesterday when I was on the elliptical, I noticed that I was not pushing my heart rate. I think I spent 25 minutes in zone 1. I was standing on the elliptical, I was doing the elliptical, but in order to get my heart rate up, I had to really push it, and I get bored on the elliptical. I get bored on treadmills, and so I decided today that I wasn't gonna use the elliptical, that I was gonna go out and go for a run. And when I did and I got through my run, I noticed a definite boost, and that was probably due to the fact that I generated endorphins, and I also activated the endocannabinoid system and the serotonin and dopamine system of my brain. These chemicals are your best friend because what keeps you coming back to exercise is the release of these. I'll probably have another vlog where I talk about recovering from addiction. It's very stigmatized, but one of the ways that addicts can recover from opioids is by doing intense physical exercise. It's not the answer, it's not the magic bullet, but it's part of a comprehensive program that can help someone who has a substance use disorder or an addiction start to move away from drugs by incorporating intense exercise. And the reason is because your brain has most of those chemicals available if the body is activating those parts of the brain. So imagine endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, endocannabinoids are like keyholes. And there's certain keys that can go into those keyholes and turn them on. You can't just tell yourself to be in a good mood. You can't just tell yourself to feel well, but you can do things that will make your body, basically running, exercising, is gonna be one of those little keys, actually a few of them. It's gonna go into those keyholes, it's gonna turn that chemistry on, so you're gonna get a natural physiological reward system. Exercise is stimulating these parts of the brain. The endocannabinoid system is something that's been talked about a lot recently since cannabis has been legalized in many states. But we have an endocannabinoid system in our brain. It's an internal reward system. So when we exercise, we actually create 5 or 6 different keys for these parts of the brain. And then we turn them, and when we're done with exercise, we feel better. It's kind of hard to put your finger on, but now the science is starting to say this is due to endorphins, or your endomorphine system of your brain, your serotonin system, your dopamine system, and your endocannabinoid system are all triggered when you do intense physical exercise. Besides the cardiovascular benefits of exercise, there's also physiological benefits that are psychological. So it's physiological because it's brain chemistry. Psychological because the brain chemistry is feel-good chemicals. To the opposite of that, we have a chemical called cortisol, and that chemical overrides a lot of those. So if you're in a stressful situation or you have trauma, generally cortisol is stimulated. What I want to encourage you to do is get a little intense exercise, see how you feel afterwards, and really like latch on to that. Grab that feeling and recognize that that feeling you got was because you got up and exercised. It was because you put your body through a little bit of physical stress. And then usually it pays dividends for the rest of the day. I am a person who must work out when I wake up in the morning. If I don't exercise, my mood suffers. It's because in my world, I have, just like anybody, my own psychological issues going on. I need to engage all of those systems in the morning in order to function in a balanced way. You got cortisol, you have these negative feelings running through your brain for you to treat others poorly and make bad decisions. You're gonna make the best, most balanced decisions when your body's in the best shape and you have a good balance of good feeling chemicals that your brain is producing naturally, because there's other keys for these chemicals too. The other keys for these brain chemicals are drugs, alcohol, sex, various other things. But those same systems are triggered when somebody, spikes their arm and shoots up heroin. They're getting morphine. They're essentially the same thing as heroin in their body, but they're doing it artificially. If that system can be triggered without having to indulge in drugs or take a pill or whatever it is, then you want to engage that system that way. And that's why many people say recovering from drug addiction or from a substance use disorder, exercise as a very important component in their daily life to keep them on the path of recovery. Thanks for staying with me today. You're doing a great job. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. I'm not going to give up. I know I will see you all. I know you'll ask me a question. I trust and I believe that this will be of value to you. Thank you so much for staying with me.